Real Madrid have come from a goal behind not once but twice to beat Manchester City by 3-2 in the first leg of the playoff round in the Champions League, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at how they did it. Real Madrid started the half very well and they actually created some good chances, but it was Manchester City that landed the first blow, and they did that through a really interesting piece of tactical engineering, and it was through the two fullbacks and in particular their relationship with John Stones. Pep Guardiola before the game mentioned that John Stones was going to be the main centre defensive midfielder, and he really was in that first half, but it was the intricate pieces of play that were orchestrated through the new roles of both fullbacks, Guardiola and Akanji. What ended up happening was that Bernardo Silva ended up going forwards with Kevin De Bruyne, who created two attacking midfield roles. It was the attacking midfield roles that enabled for Savinho to go out wide and Grealish. This spread the Madrid side and really prevented them from closing down the spaces too much. But then, from a building point of view, in the building phase of Manchester City's play, it was through John Stones and the two fullbacks that the really interesting things started to happen. Gvardiol and Akanji both moved in field, and this allowed Ake and Diaz to split, almost creating a flat midfield three when City were in possession. This gave them a number of opportunities, but it also meant that the workload onto John Stones was limited, and it meant that they were able to get the ball out wide without Stones having to cover too many blades of grass. It was through this that City were able to pop it around and inevitably find their way through into those forward areas. And in fact, the role of these two fullbacks was not just limited to sitting next to John Stones, but also to make aggressive plays forward, creating underlapping runs for their fellow wingers to best enable to drag away the players, but also to make sure they had a numerical advantage throughout the pitch. It was through Gvardiol and Akanji's movement which really did start to stifle this Real Madrid side and prevent them from being able to go back the other way. Gvardiol in particular was really dangerous with this and created and caused some real proper opportunity. And you can see that for City's first goal. So here we've got Gvardiol. He's moving infield, driving with the ball. And what he's going to do is something really interesting. He's going to play a pass into Haaland. And he's going to drive that through and forwards, through that Real Madrid midfield. And it's in doing that that really changes the tempo of the way this City side starts to go forwards. In playing it into Haaland, you're stretching this Real Madrid back line, forcing the centre-back to come across and cover because Tchouaméni is out of position. You're then looking towards Jack Grealish to come and support him, and as he lays it off to Grealish, you've got a really interesting move happening. Haaland lays it off, and then you're going to see a run in the centre of midfield, and you'll never guess who it is. It's actually Gvardiol. He's just there behind the referee currently. Now, what is going to happen is that Haaland's going to make a run, and Gvardiol's going to continue his run into this space. Look at how much space is being left between the defenders. It's this space that Gvardiol is then going to go into, and it's this space that Jack Grealish is going to hit. He plays the ball over the top towards Gvardiol, who's making a brilliant run. This is fantastic, and it's actually the move that opens up this good Real Madrid defence. Although Real Madrid actually played without two main defenders, I actually thought they did quite a good job stopping and stifling the progression of City. But it was in this move that Gvardiol managed to get a chest onto it and have the composure and awareness to get Haaland onto the ball. It was once this happened and once this knockdown happened that Haaland was available for a 1v1 against Courtois and ended up finishing. It was a brilliant move and arguably the best move of the game in Manchester City's point of view, and it was so well done through that underlapping run of Gvardiol, which was enabled by that tactical change that Guardiola made. Half-time comes around and City make a couple of changes and Madrid really start to amp up that pressure. The City changes that were made really didn't help them either. Rico Lewis coming on for Akanji and Phil Foden coming on for an injured Jack Grealish in the first half. But it was the Lewis substitution that really did start to swing things against Manchester City, because it was a side and an area that Real Madrid really wanted to exploit anyway. When we look at Vinicius Jr. and the position that he took up with Kylian Mbappé, it was always about him drifting over to this left-hand side. This had a knock-on effect towards Jude Bellingham once Real Madrid were in possession that allowed him to go a little bit more central. In winning these aerial duels, it got Madrid onto the front foot, but it was this duel here between Vinicius and Rico Lewis that was going to become the dictating duel for the rest of the match. It was his ability to beat Lewis in a 1v1 situation, whether it be on the outside or on the inside, but it was also Kylian Mbappe's brilliant runs from out to in, from inside across, and then beating their men on number of occasions. Rodrigo playing good crosses in, and then it was simply a matter of time before either Bellingham would get on something, Vinicius Jr. would make a run, or Mbappe would try to make something happen. And generally, you felt the tide turning towards Real Madrid because of that impact that Vinicius Jr. had, because of the running power of Mbappe, and the quality that this side have. It seemed a matter of time. Through a moment of quality, and it's shown by both Ceballos and from Mbappe. It comes from this free kick which gets ricocheted back once it hits this Manchester City wall, and then you're looking towards two things. You're looking towards Kylian Mbappe, who's currently stationary watching this play unfold, and you're looking towards Dani Ceballos, who plays a brilliant pass in just a moment. Once we see Ceballos really start to take the ball under control, look at his head here. He's picking his head up to try and look for a pass, immediately ready for that run that's going to be made by one of the Real Madrid attackers. We can already see Vinicius Jr. looking for a pass, but we're going to keep our eyes on Kylian Mbappe, because once Ceballos manages to get that, he's aware of this happening. He spins in beyond pretty immediately, and I just want you guys to see this reaction. Before Ceballos even kicks the ball, Mbappe is on his bike. Now, Guardiola here has a real dilemma, because he needs to try and make sure that he's marking Vinicius Jr., but also he knows that Ake is being run off of. It's really, really good play by Mbappe with his tenacity, with his drive, and obviously his quality and pace. The ball gets lobbed over the top through a brilliant, brilliant pass, and then it's about whether Mbappe can make a good connection. It actually, unfortunately, means that he can't in this particular instance. It actually comes off his shin, but that's all he needs to allow it to loop over into that far corner. It was a crazy finish, but sometimes when your luck is in, it's in. And for this particular case, Mbappe just gets enough on the ball to allow the ball to go into the net. It's a brilliant finish, really, which I'm not sure he would ever want to replicate, but in this particular instance, he won't mind a jot, because Madrid are back in the game. It's now at this point that I really want to talk about the reason that Man City lost this game and the reason that Real Madrid won it, and it was the way that Madrid exposed a huge weakness in City. It wasn't the mistakes that we're going to be talking about a little bit later, although they are crazy and they really don't help City. There's actually something far deeper, really deep down within the City side that's causing them to lose these matches, and especially lose these leads, and it comes from their defensive shape and their defensive play, and the way that Madrid were able to exploit that to pretty brilliant effect. So let's talk about this. Man City play a very high line. They play an extremely high line to try and condense the pitch. What they want to do is try to prevent this space from being taken. But in doing that, you have to give up space on the pitch, and that means that the space in behind is almost foregone. It's given up. They're hoping that they have enough about them in the centre of the park to be able to stop Madrid from making these movements across that line, across that blue line. But what ends up happening is because the Man City players, I'm talking Haaland, I'm talking De Bruyne, I'm talking any Man City player, because they don't press, and because they don't press anywhere near as much as they should do, it leaves Madrid in this particular case, but other teams as well, with so much time on the ball. If you have this amount of time on the ball, you're able to pick your pass. You're able to play wherever you want, but it also gives Madrid the option to be able to spin in beyond. If they're not pressurized and they're not really focused in a particular way, you're giving Madrid the license to do what they want. You're giving them encouragement, and it's that encouragement and that thing that Madrid exploited to a brilliant degree. You've got Mbappe, you've got Bellingham, you've got Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, all making runs in beyond. And it's this that was the downfall of City. They were carved apart on a number of occasions and they got away with it. But you cannot play a line this high. You cannot do it without pressure onto the ball. It just cannot happen. And at the moment, City physically cannot do it. They don't seem to want to do it, and it's just tearing them apart over and over again. And Madrid exploited it pretty brilliantly. As I said, mistakes happen, so let's take a look at this. This is Ederson here. He has just taken a kick, and he's kicked it essentially at Jude Bellingham. But what I want you to notice is the high line of this Man City side. This is your defensive unit. To be more specific, this is your defensive unit. This is your central defensive midfielder. Look how high they are. They're immediately so high. This is so dangerous. And once it goes to Bellingham, it's then about him challenging. It's then about him challenging with the likes of Ruben Diaz. It fails to really get a clearance or get a proper clear away, and then Bellingham is able to pick the ball up. Once these players come back on side, you're then looking for Bellingham to try and play a pass. It's this pass that gets played through into this wide area. Look how narrow this City side are. It's really good, the fact that they're so narrow, but they're so high. And it's this highness and this line that is able to be exploited by the Real Madrid forwards. As they drive forwards, it's then about making that space. You've got really good runs being made on the outside, a good run being made on the inside. It's this inside run that we're going to need to be taking a look at with Vinicius Jr. And as this goes, you've got Vinicius Jr. being played in, you've got his run going in beyond, and once he gets into the box, he takes a shot. It's this shot that the Man City players now need to be aware of. He needs to be aware, so does he does. They all need to be aware to run towards their own goal and try to clear it in case Ederson doesn't manage to collect. He doesn't collect it, and it comes back out to a Real Madrid player, but this can't happen. The Madrid player cannot be the person who is able to pick up that second ball. It just so happens that he is for Madrid's case because he wants it that little bit more. He's switched on that little bit more. And it's this that gets Madrid back into the game once more. It's that mentality, it's that courage, it's that fight that takes them over the line yet again. And of course, Madrid get their late winner, but it's really important to understand why. This is in the build-up to the Madrid pass and to the Madrid goal. And I just want you to notice this. He's not pressured at all. Bernardo Silva needs to be sprinting at him. If you're going to press properly. Foden needs to be closer. Haaland needs to be closer. And then where is the rest of the midfield? It's almost non-existent. They're almost stuck in between, wanting to press and then wanting to drop. Pep Guardiola wanted them to play a little bit slower, but you've got some players pressing. They're not together. They're not organised. And this Real Madrid side utilised that to perfect effect and carved City apart once more. So you've got a pass over the top to Bellingham, who plays his physical role pretty brilliantly. But look at the players for Man City. You've got Gundogan almost out of position. You've got Kovacic running back towards his own goal. Look how high John Stones is. Look at that. That's incredible. Rico Lewis has dropped off. I'm not sure why he's dropped off, but he's dropped off. He's not in line with his centre-back. You've got Ruben Diaz who's playing an aggressive role. And just to compound things and make matters worse, this is your back four. Look at that. That's incredible. And then you're looking towards Jude Bellingham. Can he make something happen? He can. You're then looking at Mateo Kovacic because he gets the next touch. The ball gets knocked down, but Kovacic is the one that really comes into this area and gets the next touch. Once this happens, I don't know what Kovacic is doing. I mentioned the pass from Ederson, and we're going to mention this pass from Kovacic because this is a hospital pass. This touch right here, I'm not even sure what he's doing. Why is he using the outside of his foot? It's really strange. He tries to pass over towards Rico Lewis, but again, he needs to be aware of Vinicius Jr. right here. Rico Lewis looks like he's not ready to receive a pass at all. The pass doesn't have enough weight in it either, which means that Vinicius Jr. in the final minutes of the game is going to lap that up. He's going to be ready to take that and then win that 50-50. Remember what I said earlier. He's been winning his duels against Rico Lewis. He's been having a field day out on this left-hand side, moving across, allowing for Mbappé to go through the centre, allowing for Bellingham to go through the centre. He's been lapping up this time, and it's in this that he wins his 50-50. And then look at the amount of space that this City side have to run back into. Look at the amount of space that Vinicius Jr. in particular is going to run into. It's incredible. Look at the amount of space. And then once you've got this running power, it's just almost impossible to stop. It is relentless. And it's through this relentless nature that Vinicius Jr. gets himself in a 1v1 with Ederson. He tries to chip him and he just misses. But then you're looking towards Jude Bellingham. Running power. Never stop running. always make sure you can follow it on, especially towards the latter stages. It's a perfect example of young players in today's game. A great example to never give up on a chance, never to give up on a moment. And Bellingham doesn't. He beats John Stones. We're going to see his physicality in just a moment, really muscling Stones out of the way, the two fives battling it out, and it just so happens that it's Bellingham that gets there first. And Real Madrid thoroughly deserve it. They exploited City pretty perfectly. City fell off a cliff towards the second stages of this game, and like I said, Madrid deserved it quite a bit, in my opinion. I think they thoroughly deserve this win. It's going to make the second leg particularly interesting, and that's what I want to ask you guys about. What do you think is going to happen in that second leg? Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on the game, on both sides, and how you think that second leg is going to go. I would love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.